Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Women of Wrestling podcast here at Ring Bells. It's the usual crew of Irish Stu Allen and Freaky Lee Burton. Hello, Lee.
Hello.
And we already have our guest on the line for this one. She was the first guest that we ever had. She is the latest guest that we have had, and she may be the greatest guest that we have had. Allison Danger's here.
Maybe?
Oh, dear.
Oh, Jesus.
That's a rough
Thanks,
start.
Stu.
Well,
That was a great build-up.
you said
Hey, you might be all right.
you set the bar, but you know that's what you do. You got to set the bar and ask all these younger girls to come up and try and beat it if they can.
I'm just gonna set the bar on fire.
Well, that's one way to do it. That might be our last podcast then. Oh God!
We're going out in flames, y'all.
It's been a good run, kids.
Right?
This is because you retired earlier this year doesn't mean we have to do the same. Come on now.
Oh, I'm tired. I'm taking everybody with me. I should have gone out Jerry Maguire style, left the ring, grabbed to see who would come with me.
Okay, it's one way of doing it.
I need to watch Jerry Maguire.
Try and set up your own splinter group.
Wait, have you never seen it?
No, I've been watching wrestling.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
I'm gonna find a man card with your name on it and rip it in half.
Please, like I ever had a man card.
Yeah, good point.
There you go.
You got issued one at birth that got taken away from you after 6 months.
Oh, I so got revoked.
So, Allison Danger, like we said, you're retired now. How's retirement for you? Are you enjoying knitting, sitting with your slippers on, smoking a pipe?
It's the best. In my rocking chair on my front porch.
That's all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's like an episode. She's like Cracker Barrel. It's amazing.
Why you gotta be racist, Lee? Why's it gotta...
Jesus Christ, I can't believe someone played the race card against me.
Oh, I see what happens. Only you can play the race card?
He's been doing
Absolutely.
it for years.
Okay.
Those are the rules, kids.
Oh my goodness. I think there's half of you fighting with yourself right now.
It's a constant battle. Yeah.
To the death.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got off the subject already. This was amazing. Retirement, yes. What's
Wait, there was a subject? Okay, let's go.
Yeah, wait, retirement, what's that like?
It's nice. It's been exceptionally busy. You know, I'm just kind of focusing on me, focusing on family, trying not to melt in the Vegas heat.
You not been bored?
Oh my God, no. I haven't had a chance to be bored. I did read Game of Thrones, the first book. I haven't read in months. Outside of like Oxygen magazine and Women's Health and stuff like that, but I finally have had some time to do some reading, and I read the first Game of Thrones. And I'm not going to be that goofball that watches the show then reads the books. I'm reading those books first. So I'm not shocked when people die at a wedding.
I'm the goofball who just watches the show, so...
Ah, but you don't plan on reading the books, right?
Not particularly, no.
Shoo! Sorry, I sneezed.
You kidding,
see,
did
if
you?
you're not going to read the books. Yeah, that was a sneeze.
Wow.
Very ladylike.
I have cute sneezes. That's how I got my husband.
You sneezed on him?
No.
That's
I sneezed
disgusting.
near him. He thought I was cute. Long story short, I'm married 5 years now.
It's quite impressive, all things considered.
I know, right?
Is he happy to have you around then, as far as, being retired, not having to pack up bags and go places every weekend?
I think he is, actually. We've been doing a lot of stuff. We've been hiking in the Mount Charleston area around Vegas, going to movies, going out on dates. It's been quite nice. He just recently played in the WSOP and did quite well.
No, I heard about that. Is he going to try and go pro at some point?
Oh my God, I would love for him to go pro. Out of 2,100 people, he ended up 75th.
That's pretty good.
And the person that knocked him out won the whole thing.
Can't ask for more than that other than winning.
I know. I mean, how impressive is that? I was so proud of him.
I suppose the only bad thing about you coming home and being at home every weekend now is that Marco has to call it off with all of his mistresses.
He can still go on the road occasionally.
Fine.
So, I think Kendall has enjoyed having mommy home more.
Sure.
So, because it was odd, like the first week or two, because I had done I think it was 6 straight weekends on the road leading up to retirement. Finally, like the first week or two I was home, she only wanted her dad because she was so used to being with him all the time that, if she fell down, she wanted daddy. If she woke up in the night with a bad dream, she wanted daddy. She didn't want mommy anymore. And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah, that stung. That stung a little.
That it did.
So she's been reconditioned over the last 12 weeks then?
My God, you wouldn't believe it. Some Stockholm syndrome going on here.
Oh dear.
No, her and I are like completely bonded. We go to the gym together. I teach a class. She hits the playroom. She thinks that's her job. We spend a lot of time getting her ready for school. She starts school next month. So I have a lot of stuff keeping me busy.
Well, the retirement came after you made your retirement announcement earlier this year, and you had your last matches at the Shimmer shows in April.
Right.
And that was the time where you came out publicly and talked to everybody then about the reasons for your retirement.
Yeah.
Which include, I'll let you tell the whole story, of course, but include having a stroke and then finding lesions on your brain and so on. We're going to get quite heavy all of a sudden here, I'm afraid, but you told that story in the ring. Those DVDs are not yet out, so for people who weren't there or for people who were there and just want to know a little bit more about that story, can you explain, give us a sort of a health update for you for the last year?
Well, I had been probably since about November 2011 kind of playing around with the idea of eventually I was going to have to retire. And I wanted to retire on my terms and whatnot. And just felt like I was kind of running out of steam. The body was beat up. I was having a lot of problems with my right hip, which eventually has been diagnosed as arthritis in my hip.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, I know. That goes with all the old people's things. I'm wearing my pants up to my waist, up to my chest now, you guys. But, yeah, I've been having this nagging hip injury since the end of 2011. So I've kind of been going back and forth on when am I going to retire? When am I going to retire? And then in October 2012, I told Prazak, I'm like, I just got this feeling. I think April's going to be it. I think it's time to go. And he was like, well, we'll talk about it next year. No one really ever retires. Or at least if I'm going to retire, I'm going to drag it out a year, do like a big tour and stuff like that. And then at the end of January, I was actually teaching at the gym because I teach 2 different Les Mills programs and I teach aqua aerobics and stuff like that. I woke up and wasn't feeling right and I got to class and about 10 minutes in the class, boom, I had a small stroke called a TIA, transient ischemic attack. And I refused medical help. I wouldn't let them call the ambulance. I had somebody drive me home, went home, called my doctor, went and saw my doctor. And I was like, yeah, I think it's the flu, but it feels kind of weird. I just don't feel right. I go, somebody joked with me that I probably just had a stroke. And the doctor looked at me and she goes, no, you did have a stroke. And I'm like, what? I was really surprised because, I was like, it's not going to be anything that serious. It's probably something stupid. Maybe my iron's low. But no, they sent me in for an MRI to see if they could find any residual damage, what might have caused it, and whatnot. And yeah, when the MRI came back, and unfortunately, my health insurance, and you can't see it, but I'm air quoting it. Right. It got drug out 2 months, finally figuring out what was wrong with me, and I literally found out about the lesions 2 hours before I flew to my last Shimmer weekend.
Wow.
Really?
So, yeah, but they had told me before, they're like, something's definitely not right there, and you just, so I told Prazak, I'm like, I'm definitely out, because they've warned me that with this brain thing, that my chance of stroke increased 40%, and it's more likely now a matter of when I will have one as opposed to if I'm ever going to have one again. My chances have jumped that much that I shouldn't anticipate, hey, there's probably going to be at least another stroke or few in my future. And so, so they did the MRI and they brought me in and sat me down and told me, that they discovered lesions on my brain. I have lesions on my brain and little bits of scar tissue. And she goes, have you ever been hit in the head? And I'm like, let me think about this.
No,
yes.
Yeah.
And often. She's like, have you ever had concussions? I go, probably more than I can count. And she was like, stop doing that. Whatever you're doing to get hit in the head, she goes, you have to stop that, like, immediately. Essentially, I have to go the rest of my life without ever getting hit in the head again. Which, ironically, when I started flying out for that Shimmer weekend, on the plane, didn't somebody hit me in the head with their suitcase?
How nice.
Damn.
And I was like, oh, that was awesome. So, but yeah, between the hip and the brain, I mean, I really have to protect my brain because, you know, I've got a family to live for. And I want to see my girl grow up, and, you know, I eventually do want to have that porch and the 2 matching rocking chairs and be holding hands with my husband and just looking at our grandkids playing in the yard. So I stopped.
So, did these lesions then, did they cause the stroke, or were these lesions a byproduct of the stroke?
We're not exactly sure. They could have caused the stroke, but I mean, there's a history of stroke in my family, so it could have been just the warning sign to say, hey, my body's telling me that we need to find out, that we need to see that this is going on. So we don't know if it caused it, if it was a byproduct of it. We probably never will.
Well, sort of obvious follow-up question then for that is, and given what you were saying about taking shots to the head and concussions and stuff like that, do you think, or do you know, or do you suspect that the health issues you've had this year, are they wrestling related? Is it because of wrestling?
Oh yeah, I guarantee it's because of wrestling. It's not often in my daily life that I actually get hit in the head. But yeah, it's definitely, like, the arthritis in the hip, it's definitely related to wrestling and was aggravated by pregnancy. But the brain stuff, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that it involved wrestling. Because, I mean, how many shots in the head have I taken over the years? I lost count at 10 dislocations of my jaw. I've had, you know, a broken nose, a cracked nose, a broken eardrum. I've had my brain rattled more times than I can imagine. You know, there's matches where I don't even remember being in the match because I've gotten hit. There was one match in San Francisco. It went for a half an hour. I don't remember 27 minutes of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I went in and out through the whole match. I still managed to get through it. But, yeah, you can see at the end of the match, I'm completely gone. Like, I'm dead on my feet.
What was the match?
Me versus cheerleader Melissa versus Sarah Del Rey.
Oh, what, from APW?
Yeah.
In the garage with the rain outside.
Yep.
I've seen that.
I remember waking up outside in a puddle. Apparently, I got suplexed in the parking lot.
I vaguely remember that. I do remember it was raining outside, definitely.
Yeah. I remember waking up in a puddle. I remember waking up in a pool of blood because I had bitten through my tongue on 2 sides and swallowed 2 pieces of my tongue during that match. I remember waking up under a bunch of wood. And then I remember being backstage and people were taking my boots and stuff off. And I faintly remember kicking Del Rey in the head. That's it. That's all I remember of that match.
God.
Everything else is gone. So, I mean, I'm not saying it was that match in particular, but that's like an example of that's happened. You know, I got that one bad facial injury where I got knocked pretty hard at Ring of Honor when I did the 4-corner with in Ohio with Lacey, Tracy, Daisy, and me. And Daisy did the drop kick from the top and caught me in the face. I went down. I went out. You know, it could be anything.
I mean, the amount of concussions that you had and the injuries to the head. I mean, after a certain amount of time, does it stop being something of like a concern and just become part of, oh, well, another one's happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the first time I got a concussion, I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. Then after a while, I'm just like, oh, I probably have a concussion. All right, you know, as long as I don't puke on the way home, I'm good. And same with the jaw and same with the bruises and all that. It just becomes such a normal part of your life that you just don't think anything different of it.
I guess when you explain it to somebody else, they might be so sort of maybe aghast at the idea of being so, I don't know, maybe sort of brushing off the idea of maybe being flippant with injuries to the brain.
Yeah. Because you think, oh, it's going to happen to other people. You always think it's never going to happen to me. And then it happens to you and you're like, well, that kind of sucks. So, I mean, there's nothing I can do. I can't change it now.
No. But
I can tell younger people to be smarter with it. And I knew, like, part of what got me really into the British style of wrestling was it was a little easier on the body because it was more about the art of the wrestling as opposed to going in there and kicking each other really hard and, lots of head bumps and Germans and stuff. And that's part of what got me into the British style of wrestling, like watching Johnny Saint and Johnny Kidd. I'm like, it told a story and it flowed so well. And they weren't killing themselves. They weren't kicking each other in the face repeatedly and whatnot. And I was like, man, I really like the way these British people wrestle. You guys make good chocolate, good TV, and good wrestling.
Well, I guess that's why, that's the age that they are, and they're still wrestling.
Yeah. And now I can't do any of that.
Well,
I can't even spin around fast.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, how is what's happened to you as far as that's concerned affected your everyday life? I mean, obviously you're not wrestling anymore, but it still affects your everyday life as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. I have to do brain exercises to keep my brain sharp. I'm supposed to do those every day. My doctor encourages me to read, do puzzles and whatnot, and just constantly exercise my brain. My 4-year-old, she's got responsibility now. Like, if something happens to mommy, she knows how to unlock my phone, press a picture of her dad's face, and it'll call daddy right away. And she can say, Daddy, mommy's sick.
Wow.
And then my husband can drop whatever he's doing to get back to me to help me out. And she's almost had to use it once because we were joking around and just kind of like playing around wrestling here at the house, and just turning my head too fast must have tapped something in my brain and it dropped me. And I just kind of had to lay there and get rid of the dizziness. There's certain things in the gym I can't do anymore. Like, I probably can't do burpees, which is good because I hate burpees anyway. But if I go back to back with someone, I can't do the old pass the medicine ball drill because the moving of my head makes me dizzy and it weakens my knees. And then that stuff drags all day. When I get dizzy, the rest of my day I'm dragging. I'm nauseous, feeling kind of rough. So it has affected my life. I can't go on amusement park rides anymore. So if we go to the Adventure Dome at Circus Circus, I can't ride anything with my kid. Even like the little kid rides, I can't go on with her. So,
are you having then to be constantly thinking about this then? I mean, are you sort of constantly thinking about you've got to be careful not to move your head too fast or anything like that? Is it something that's second nature now?
Yeah, it's become part of my life. I've been living with it now for almost 6 months, so it's just become a natural part of my life. And there's still certain things that I'm figuring out and whatnot. And I always tell people, I'm like, listen, if I don't remember your name, I apologize. I just don't, I don't retain certain information. Yeah, and sometimes I'll struggle in a conversation where I'll start to speak, and it's gotten better, but I'll start to speak, and then it's not necessarily that I lose my train of thought, but I have a hard time connecting my brain to my mouth sometimes.
And so some people would argue you've had that for a long time.
Right? Like, I'll have like weird little pauses where I have to like stop and kind of refocus my brain and whatnot, and then I make jokes, which upsets my mother.
Oh, excellent.
But that's
the dark sense of humor, right?
Okay, so the iPay-per-view in New Jersey that we did, where I was in the ring with like Bates and Deeb, and Daphne was on the outside. I want to say Bates was inside, and I smelled something burning, like burnt popcorn or something. And I leaned over to Deeb, and I go, Deeb, do you smell burnt popcorn, or am I having another stroke?
Shit.
And she just looked at me like, what are you saying? But, I have to find a sense of humor in something because I can't let this break me,
Yeah.
I make jokes, and like, I wanted to create a new move for my last weekend and call it the stroke of genius. And
Oh, that would have been nice.
my mom gets so mad when I do that, though.
As parents, though, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I'd probably be upset if it was my kid too.
So with these injuries that you're talking about and the way it's affected your life, is there a possibility of this like gradually getting worse, or is this as bad as it gets as long as you look after yourself?
The doctor didn't give me a definitive answer, but she just told me, be careful with getting hits to the brain, exercise my brain. So it's one of those, I guess, time will tell kind of situations. Where only know, and I mean, I'm grateful that we got it. I'm grateful that I still have air in my lungs. Life could be a lot worse. So I have to look on the positive side. My family's happy. I'm still here with them. So I just can't wrestle anymore. And I was gonna try and do the Queens of Wrestling, because I figured, if I go in there and just grapple, just get in the ring and grapple a little bit, yeah, I can't even do that right now. So I've had to pull off that event, and I don't know what's going to happen, if I'm even going to be able to ever do even just like a light customs match where I just get in and work the ground with somebody. Like I haven't trained anybody. I haven't trained anybody outside of like just looking at their work or looking at a promo and saying, hey, do this, do that, get a haircut.
So what happens then? Is like, do you just get fuzzy and dizzy then? Is that what it is?
I get dizzy, I get nauseous, the room spins, I have to sit down, I have to concentrate on my breathing.
The one or two matches I've seen recently has made me want to feel like that.
I have to focus on my breathing a lot. Like when it starts to hit, I have to just kind of like calm and settle my body, because it could cause anxiety issues, which I've had trouble with in the past. So
let's talk about your final weekend then in Shimmer.
Okay.
I mean, you worked, 3 times across the weekend, was it?
Yes.
And you managed to get through all of those okay, I take it, without any major panics or anything like that. I mean, you'd already been talking about this was going to be your last weekend anyway, so, I mean, you talked about wanting to retire on your own ticket earlier.
Right.
I guess, like, I suppose that's the good thing, is that, this may have put a full stop on your career, but your career was already, that was going to be your last weekend anyway.
Yeah. Well, I had looked at it being my last weekend, and, at first we weren't 100% sure that the April date would be the last time that I stepped in the ring at Shimmer, and then with the stroke coming in, it confirmed it. Like, it was,
Sure.
It no longer became an option. Like, it had to end. And technically, I probably shouldn't have even done Jersey. I shouldn't have done Chicago. I shouldn't have done any of the stuff that I did. Like, it should have, after January, I should have stopped completely. But I wasn't ready to do that. I wanted to be able to say goodbye.
Well, just backtracking for a moment then. In between Shimmer and you, as well as you finding out about the lesions, you had your match at Femme Fatale with Cornell Rush. I mean,
Right.
At that point, you'd had the stroke, but you didn't know about the lesions and everything like that. So what was your mindset for that match?
That was actually one of the first matches that I did after my stroke. And emotionally, I was a mess. Like, I was a mess. And then during the match, I felt unconditioned in there. And then I popped my shoulder out on the left side. And so that was rough. And, like, I had put a lot of pressure on myself to just, like, because I didn't tell Courtney. I actually didn't tell anybody except for Lufisto beforehand. Lufisto was actually one of the first people to know about my stroke.
I suppose she didn't understand as well.
Yeah, well, because I knew she would understand and stuff. And, but I didn't tell Courtney until after the match. And I didn't tell Stefan until after the match either. And I was just like, after I got back there, and I'm like, I just felt terrible, because even though they were happy with the match, the fans seemed happy with the match, I felt that I owed more to Courtney than what I was able to give her in the ring. And that was really frustrating. This was after the stroke, but before the lesions were discovered. And then my shoulder got knocked out, which was nobody's fault, and it's just one of those things. I just landed wrong, popped it out. And then after the worst part of that was Pat LaPrade let me fall down a flight of stairs.
Let you?
Yep. And then when I hit the bottom, he looked and he laughed at me.
Well, that sounds like Pat.
So I just want to put that out there, that he laughed at me falling down a flight of stairs. Yep.
That French-Canadian bastard.
Yeah.
He's a lovely man.
So
Jury's out with Allison Danger on Pat LaPrade.
no, I enjoy when certain Brits punch him in the dinger.
Yeah, everyone does, actually, I think. So, the Shimmer last weekend, I mean, what was was this just an opportunity for you to wrestle a bunch of people one last time? Did you essentially handpick your opponents for that weekend then?
Well, I had mentioned to Prazak, I'd given him like a short list of people that I would be interested in. And like, I always thought my last match ever would be with Del Rey. And for obvious reasons, that could never happen. And I was like, well, if I can't have Del Rey, the next obvious choice would have been Hamada. But after not being able to give Courtney Rush one-on-one what I wanted to give her, I knew there was no way I could give Hamada one-on-one what I wanted to give. And we just felt, especially after we got the diagnosis the morning before I flew out, it was best to keep me safe in tags.
Sure.
And I'd wanted to work with Veda and Shazza because I really wanted to just give them that push, give them a little something. And so that was really exciting when we got that match. And then I love working with Skater. That's one thing I'm going to be bummed about, is that, we don't get to work again, especially after, she'd been to Japan a couple times. Like, she's improved since that first match that we did. And like, first match her and I had at Shimmer, we had a blast in. But she's grown so much as a performer and a wrestler that I would have loved to have gone one-on-one with her again. And I really want to wrestle Tomoko. I love her. She's the happiest, tiniest little thing ever. And she's just a riot. She's so sweet. And she calls me her sunshine. And I was like, oh, wow. Love those Japanese people. And then just to keep from pushing my body, they gave me off on the third taping and gave Bates the singles, which I was so happy in her match with Miss Natural. A lot of fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was lighthearted. And then when it got to the wrestling, like, it got deep, and I loved it. And it's one of my favorite Bates single matches. And it's no secret that I love Miss Natural. I think she's great. I think she adds so much to the roster at Shimmer. And then the fourth match to do the Hamada stuff would be giving me Hamada, but still not putting me at much risk. And it was the best way for me to say goodbye. And I was really fine all weekend. Like, everyone was like sniffing backstage and wiping tears away. I'm like, stop crying, guys. I didn't cry until when we went to do the pre-show meeting that they had my mom pop out from under the ring.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that.
They had arranged for my mom to slip in for my last show. I had no idea she was going to be there. So that was really good, because when my brother won the ECW title at, what was it, November to remember? I can't remember, but it was in Chicago. Heyman and a couple of the guys in the back had snuck my mom up into Chicago and surprised my mom in Chicago for that. And then surprised Steven. And so when they did it for me, like, that was super cool. And I got to hang out with my mom. And of all the people that my mom got along the best with, Soraya.
Well.
Oh, they're planning a trip to Vegas together.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Tremendous. I got to meet your mom and talk to your mom for a little while. She was a lovely lady.
Yes, she was.
She's pretty cool, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you see where I get it. If you guys ever get to meet Big Frank, that completes the circle of life right there. And actually, if you guys want to get an idea of what my dad is like, if you go to worldofcarino.com, My dad now has his own blog on my brother's website. And my dad blogs every week now. And you get an idea of the mind of Big Frank.
Do we dare?
Oh, he's a riot. My dad's hilarious.
Okay, we'll check that out.
If you were to ever meet Big Frank, you would understand where all my charm comes from.
Right.
I am charming.
You are a charming woman, yes.
I am. So, but
And modest too.
But yeah, it was so cool to have my mom there. And then I was okay in the ring till they did the initial announcement, till Eastman did the announcement and where we were from and our weight and all that. And that kind of hurt. And by I mean that hurt a lot.
Was that a surprise for you then?
No.
All right.
Eastman and I talked about it. Because, Leva Bates and I were always from somewhere by way of the TARDIS.
Sure.
We were what? We were 1/2, 2 times Nicky Rocks in a box. And so we always like to have fun with that. And then I just felt it was fitting to be in Chicago and dedicate our last match to Sweeney. And then when I tried to compose myself and I saw Joey was crying and then I saw Bryce was crying, it's not that often I hug a ref before a match. But, it was an emotional weekend.
Even under the mask, you could see that, you were broken.
Yeah, that was tough. And, and then I was okay through the match and then the match ended. And I was just laying there. I'm like, oh man, I did it. I got through it. Got through this weekend. I'm okay. And I turned around and there's Hamada crying. And I'm like, you're not allowed to cry. And she told me that she was so honored to be my last match. And I was like, to have your hero in wrestling tell you how honored they are to be a part of a match with you, like that's just mind-blowing. And then that's when the waterworks started. And then Bates and Deeb and Rush come out and like everyone's crying and like, I don't know. It's like we all got our period at the same time. It's crazy. But
that went for most of the people in the audience as well. I can attest for.
Yeah, I heard a couple of you guys were crying in the crowd.
I may have had something in her eye, yeah. I was thinking about this, actually, because this obviously hasn't come out on DVD yet, so I was thinking when it comes out, I don't even know if I ever really want to watch it back. It was something that was, like, so emotional at the time that I don't even know if I want to watch that. I don't know if I want to see that whole thing all over again. Will you watch it when it comes out?
Probably not for a while. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, like, I've just kind of... It's weird. Since April, mentally, I've had to like completely withdraw myself from wrestling. Like I don't even go to my husband's shows. I've watched one match since April. Somebody asked me to watch a match with them. I've watched one match. Like TNA came through town. I didn't go. I went and hung out afterwards and saw a couple friends. Like I got to see Chris Daniels and Frankie Kazarian and SoCal Val and whatnot. But yeah, I'm just not mentally ready to come back in. So, yep, I'm still firmly retired. Take that, Terry Funk. That's how it goes.
Yes.
That's how we do when we retire.
You talked about how Hamada, your idol, saying how honoured she was to be in your last match as being a sort of wonderful way to cap off the career. I mean, given what wrestling's brought you and what wrestling's brought you both from good and bad, have you got regrets for your wrestling career? Are there things you wish you'd done differently?
No, I really don't have any regrets. There's a couple wishes that never really got granted, but wrestling owes me nothing. And I don't want to be one of those people that walks away completely bitter, because I've gained so much wonderful stuff. I mean, I got to travel the world. If it weren't for wrestling, I never would have met my husband. I never would have met my best friends. I've never would have had the experiences that I've had. So I I don't want to be that person that's so angry and bitter and thinking about, oh, this got taken from me and this got taken from me. I want to focus on what wrestling gave me.
Yeah.
And, it just keeps me positive. It keeps me sane. I try not to be a negative person. Now, granted, I woke up on the grumpy side of the bed today and the other day, but, that's life. Sometimes you get grumpy, but I don't want to be that person that walks around, with that storm cloud over my head all the time. It's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for my family, And with my daughter, if I want her to handle life from a positive perspective, I have to be a positive person. And I've got to lead by example.
I mean, just out of curiosity, you said you had a few wishes which didn't sort of pan out. Is there any of them that you can reveal?
I would have loved to have gone to Japan with Bates and done some like comedy tag team stuff over there. I never got to wrestle in Scotland. Never got to wrestle in Mexico. I'm more okay with that. Trying to think what else was there. I didn't get to finish with Del Rey. We never got to do a singles at Shimmer, and I think the fans really would have loved to have seen Sarah and I go one-on-one at least once there.
I think that's damn inconsiderate of her, quite frankly.
How dare she live her dreams?
Exactly.
Right? No, I'm glad she's living her dreams, and I'm glad she's happy and she's doing well, and you can see the influence on those girls down there. And like the girls down in Florida are all going to be better for having trained under Del Rey.
Well,
and it was one of the two smartest decisions WWE has done in a long time.
What was the other one?
Antonio Cesaro.
Just making sure.
Right? So, and that's the only thing. I never worked with WWE. Not that I wanted the contract. I always wanted to do one dark match. I would have loved to have done one dark. And that's the only thing. Like, I got to do darks with TNA and stuff with them. I got to work with all these major promotions, but I never got to do a dark for WWE.
So, basically you're saying you're staying away from wrestling for much of the last few months.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that you don't miss wrestling per se, but you would miss the people?
Yes, I do miss the people, and I took great joy at the last weekend at Shimmer working backstage with the younger girls. Like, I think in time when I'm ready and I feel really good, that's really going to be what I want to do. Because I love working with the younger generation and just helping them out and kind of guiding them along the path and showing them my mistakes. And because it took forever for me to find, who I wanted to be in wrestling. And I was too worried in the very beginning about what everybody else was doing and, what the girls on TV were doing and what the fans thought. And after a while, I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I got to be true to myself. And it took me so long to find how to be true to myself. And at least that way I can help with the younger girls and let them polish up the little things. And that's what, if you've been paying attention on Twitter, that's something Kevin Harvey is starting with the School of Everything Else. I think that's a great idea because people don't realize it's the everything else that's going to help you get somewhere. There's a reason why you don't go off the indies and go straight to TV for WWE. They send you down to FCW for everything else. And here, Kevin Harvey's giving you a chance to do the everything else part on the indies and make you a more well-rounded wrestler. It's not about just going in there and doing moves. It's the psychology, it's the character development, it's the ability to speak on the microphone and get your point across without being a goofball, and unless your character's being a goofball like me and Bates. So, and like people don't realize like how important those little things are. And that's the one thing like I love to do with people is do the little things.
Sometimes it's the little things that make everything else click, isn't it?
Right. Like, look at Cornell Rush. She's a perfect example. She's a good wrestler. as she grows and gets stronger, she will eventually be unstoppable. I mean, I put it out there. Who was it? I want to think I told Stefan from Femme Fatales. I said, focus on that girl. She is going to be a star one day. And then she got to do that small little run with Del Rey at Shimmer. And it's those little subtle things that she would do in the ring. One little glance to Del Rey helped propel that story so much. Being able to go in the back and do the promos that she did really is what drew those fans in. And she's an example of someone who understands what the little things mean. And that's why, you know, I'm so glad when it came time for me to lose the Bellatrix belt that it went to her, because I think she was the perfect choice. And I think by going over to England, which has already been announced for, what is it, October?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. To go over there and be around the Bellatrix girls and get to work, you know, even just backstage with Ricky Knight, Soraya Knight. Oh my God. I think we're going to see an even stronger Courtney Rush come back. And I'm thrilled for her. I really am.
Give some other names, Emmy. Courtney's certainly one, and she's getting up there to, you know, knocking on that ceiling. Are there any other girls who are sort of, you know, maybe only really starting their career, but you can already see the potential that you want to try and help bring out of them?
I really want to focus. I want to sink my fingers into Angela Slane. Mm-hmm. I love her. I think she's got a great backstage persona. I think she has a really good look to her, but she just needs time to develop. And it's hard, especially when you're new and you develop in front of the Shimmer crowd. It's like when I first started, I was new. I had to develop in front of Ring of Honor. I mean, in front of those guys. Okay, yeah, I've got to follow Chris Daniels and Doug Williams. And then I've got to go out there, and it's like, wow, you know, that's a hard act to follow. And then she's got to come in the Shimmer and grow in front of the Shimmer fans, you know, who are watching Knight, and they're watching Madison Eagles, and they're watching Hamada and Kurihara and all these people grow. You got to grow under those shadows. Like, that's a lot of pressure. And people don't realize how much pressure it is, especially for the younger girls on the roster, for the girls just coming in just to do a Sparkle match. I mean, that's an anxiety fit and a half right there. And I want to see Veda Scott grow, because I love her. I love her personally. I love her professionally. Her and Shazza together are the cutest little things. They're going to replenish the roster and bring something fun to tag team wrestling. And I love those. And I'm trying to think. I know I'm forgetting. You know, the younger, the Frenchies coming down from Canada. The Angie.
What a lovely description.
The Frenchies.
Frenchies. And the Xandra Bale, who doesn't even speak French, but, you know, she's got such a cool, both of them have good looks to them and bright futures and whatnot. So it's these younger girls that I'm just kind of keeping my eye out for. And, you know, I want to be someone that they can come to and be like, I think this is going well, but I'm struggling here. And just try to help keep their heads above the water while they navigate the beginning of their career.
So you're like Allison Danger, troubleshooter.
I like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Got a problem, come and ask Danger.
Right? I'd be okay with that.
Mom, Dad started 3 times.
Oh my goodness, that's just what the people on the computer wanted to hear in the interview.
Now I farted 4 times.
Can you guys understand what she's saying?
I can't say I do at the minute.
Not really, no.
Just crashed our interview to announce that she just farted 4 times.
Really? Congratulations.
Well done.
Thanks, honey. You knew eventually she was going to crash the interview, right?
That's okay. She crashed the first one as well, but she's kind of making noises as opposed to saying words.
Yeah, now she has full conversation. She's actually quite smart. She gets it from her daddy, but don't tell him I said that.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Yeah, her daddy's quite intelligent, so. But.
I forgot where we were.
Where were we? We were just talking about young girls in wrestling and Allison Danger, troubleshooter.
That's exactly it. One of the things you mentioned when we were kind of looking to speak to you about this is you also wanted to say about kind of you being an example as far as maybe younger wrestlers and newer wrestlers kind of looking after themselves as well.
Well, I just want to show them, hey, be smart, or you're going to end up like me. It's as simple as that. You can go in there and you can do all those crazy kicks to the head and take a bunch of Germans and jump back up and act like nothing happened. And then you could eventually end up looking like me, who is going to be sitting backstage watching everybody because I can't get in the ring anymore. Well, it's just, it's not something that I want to force down people's throats, but if they want to keep their eyes open and be like, okay, I can be smart about my career, take the occasional crazy bumps, but I don't have to do a whole match of ridiculousness, and that was part of my problem in the beginning. I wanted to, especially at Ring of Honor, I wanted to prove myself so much that I went in there and I did ridiculous things. And there was a point in 2006 and the beginning of 2007 where, I hated the world and the world around me so much that every weekend I just went in there and I'm like, just beat me, because I wanted to feel alive again, because I had gone through a time where I was so severely depressed. And not about wrestling, just about my life in general, that I used wrestling to feel alive again. And I would go in there and I'd get hit in the head with stuff. I mean, how many times did I get hit with chairs getting windmilled through the crowd and stuff like that, and taking Germans on the top of my head, and just because I didn't care about myself. And I was just so angry, and that was my way of taking my anger out, was just going in there and just being like, just beat the crap out of me. I just don't care. And that was terrible. And, for a while there, after a wrestling weekend, it would take me a half an hour to get out of bed because I would hurt so much from the weekend, because I would just go in there balls to the wall, and it would literally take me 30 minutes of just kind of moving appendage by appendage. I would have to rub my legs out and make my legs move and just kind of warm my muscles up enough to break up all that lactic acid in there and break through the bruising to roll out of bed. And then I would go to the gym for 2-3 hours. And I would do that every day that I wasn't wrestling.
I mean, it's probably the example or the thing I was going to mention right here kind of isn't stemming from what you were saying there, but there are a lot of young wrestlers who, like you were saying, when you're young and you kind of don't know about injuries and things like that, you are quite fearless.
Yes.
Is it kind of worth maybe instilling a little bit of that wariness into you, just so you don't do something which you may consider to be, this is a 50-50 situation, I might be all right too. If this is a 50-50 situation, maybe I shouldn't do it.
Well, that's what I've talked about with people. It's like, I want to do this big crazy spot. Can you do it safely? I think so. Unless you're sure, you might not want to do that. Because if there's any hesitation or any concern, that's where things are going to happen. Nothing's worse than being in the middle of a move and thinking, oh my God, I can't do this. Well, guess what? You got to poop or get off the pot. Because that's when the injuries are going to happen. And it's not just you that's going to be unsafe. It's putting somebody else in that situation. I remember being at a show and the girl's like, well, I want to hit you with a Rana off the top rope. And I'm like, is that something you normally do? I just learned it. Well, wait, who taught it to you? Pac just taught me. And I'm like,
right.
Okay, I'm not Pac. I don't move like him. Okay, you could completely fudge that move up and he will still find himself nice and safe on the mat. I don't move like he does. So if you screw this up, I'm going to break my neck. So no, how about we not do that spot? And it's not me trying to be difficult, but after a while I had to be smart because it didn't make sense. Like, I wouldn't do a move to somebody that I didn't feel confident giving them. I'm not gonna take someone who's significantly heavier than me and flip them up in the air and then drop them down on their heads. That's just not gonna happen because I'm not gonna be able to give them that move safely. If I don't feel confident giving them that move, I would never ask them to take that move. And there's so many people in there that worry about getting the spot in. that it's like, you can't do that. You can't put yourself in that position, and you can't ask to put your opponent in there. And somebody once said, it doesn't matter how you feel about your opponent, in that time that you guys are in the ring, you have to be each other's best friend. Because you have to look out for each other. You can go in and have a strong match without killing each other. You have to learn how to make it look like you're killing each other and how to sell it. Selling is such a lost art form in people these days, and then especially females. It's like, I watched one girl take a move and pop right back up, and I'm like, you should be down. You should be dead. But she had to be up because she had to move into the next spot. And I'm like, yeah, gotta get your shit in. Like, that's just not the way you should look at in wrestling. You can make stuff look so good. You can do 3 big moves, or you can do 12 big moves. Chances are the fans are going to emotionally connect to the match that you did the 3 big moves. They might pop for the 12 big moves, but they're not going to remember all those moves that you did. It's too much. But if you do 3 bigger moves, they're going to remember that because it's not as much to remember, and they're going to have the time to emotionally commit to you.
It sounds to me like you were watching quite a few matches and being nervous for people.
Oh my gosh. I'm surprised at certain shows you haven't heard me yelling from backstage. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because it's, because I don't want to see people get hurt. And I don't want to see people ending up like me or ending up like somebody else that's injured and, not being able to wrestle. Like, that sucks. That's a crappy feeling. And I genuinely don't want to see anybody in that situation.
It sounds to
Whether
me...
people hate you, even the people I don't like in wrestling, I don't wish any ill will on them.
Very philosophical. But, speaking of philosophical things, it seems to me that are you basically calling for wrestling as a business to change? We've had that in WWE. They've certainly toned down and outlawed various things and made it safer for their wrestlers after the excesses of the Attitude Era. Are you sort of calling on independent wrestling promoters, fans and wrestlers all to sort of like tone down an expectation for a more heavy-hitting or physical style because it can cause those problems for you later in life?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying be smart.
Okay.
Be smart. If you can do something that looks good and do it safely, then do it. But don't feel like you have to do it just to keep up with the Joneses. Take what you can do and do that well. I'm not a super flashy wrestler. And I don't try to compete with the people who are super flashy wrestlers. That's going to be their style. I'm focusing on my style and trying to be able to do what I do it well, keep me and my opponent safe. And that should be what people are doing at the end of the day. My concern is the art of selling has been lost, and that's why people do a lot of ridiculous things, because they don't take the time to sell when they should. And so many people want that pop from the crowd, and I'm like, you can get that pop, but you can get it safely. So I'm just telling everybody, just be smart,
Bit of personal
not everybody
responsibility.
needs to. Yeah, personal responsibility, be smart. I'm not going to make a huge platform or agenda on it. It's not going to be something that I'm going to be like, putting websites and stuff. This is just me saying, hey, be smart. Learn to sell. Do what you can do it well. If you can't do something, be honest with your opponent. Be like, I can't do that and make it look good. Or I can't do that and make it safe. Be honest with yourself and be honest with your opponent. Be honest with the promoter, And if a promoter doesn't want to book you because you don't want to do ridiculous, stupid things, think about, is that a promoter you really want to work for? But people out there are so desperate for work that they will compromise themselves and their integrity time and time again just to say that they worked that weekend. And I used to be the same way, but I realized, I don't feel better after those matches. I hate working for those people. Is it that important that I'm booked every single weekend, that I work for people that I don't like and I don't respect, and it shows that I don't give a damn about? No, I owe more to myself and I owe more to the fans. to, if I'm going to do a show, it's because I genuinely believe I love this show. This is a promoter I want to work for. These are people I want to work with. You know?
It's funny, I was talking to Cornell Rush yesterday, and we did a podcast with her, and she said it almost exactly the same thing. She said, never compromise yourself, and that's essentially what you're saying as well.
Cornell Rush is a great example of somebody who understands having integrity in this business. And she said it time and time again. I don't want to do a show where certain things are happening. I don't respect what the promoter's doing. I don't respect what the people are doing there. I'm not going to take that booking. And she's one of the few people who are that young in the business who understands what she wants from her career and isn't afraid of saying no. And saying, no, I'm not going to do that. If someone were to ask that girl to wrestle in a bowl of pudding, I guarantee she's going to tell them where to stuff that booking. Where other girls are going to be like, well, I don't want to, but I really want the spot. And, no, don't do it. If it compromises who you are as a performer, just say no. There will be more bookings. Unless you're the Drizzlings.
Yeah.
Then there might not be as many bookings.
Yeah, if you're not getting booked, it's probably for a reason, right? Speaking about bookings and so on, there's probably never been a better time as far as being a female wrestler as the amount of places that there are to work now. There's lots of different places. We've got a whole official female fight season of shows coming up where everybody in the world's running in the space of about 3 weeks. What's the lay of the land as far as women's wrestling is concerned, as far as your view on it at the minute? Are we in a good place?
I don't even know, what is that female fight season? Like, I'm serious. Like, I have not been paying much attention to wrestling, so I don't even know what's out there right now. Like, if anything has changed in the last 3 months, I have no clue what those changes are.
Well,
I know Shimmer, I know Shine, I know Bellatrix, I know Femme Fatales. I've heard of this little company called WWE. They're around somewhere.
Yeah, they're all right.
I've heard them. They're okay.
But
they've hired some of my friends, so they're okay with me.
All the companies you mentioned, other than WWE, of course, all the companies you mentioned, plus WSU and AIW as well, the way they always tended to end up running around the same few weeks? Well, they've decided to all run basically within the space of a month and all sort of co-promote each other's shows as well as their own. So, you've sort of got a sort of unanimous sort of banner of the open female fight season where, it involves a whole bunch of like half a dozen different promotions. Everyone's still going to have their own shows, but it just means that you're also diverting people's eyes towards other female wrestling as well that you might enjoy.
Which I think is good. Like, there's good points and there's bad points. It's nice to see that people are willing to work with each other, and it's much more or less of the pissing contests in the past where, oh, you can't work for this person, or we don't like this company, or the perceived rivalries between the companies that the fans have made up in their own minds, which is actually, surprisingly enough, that's an issue. Like, I've heard of so many rivalries between certain promotions and stuff like that, and it's all been in the fans' heads. They have hoped that there was a rivalry, or they assume there's a rivalry, so they've made it up on the internet, and it kind of becomes true in their minds, whether it's true or not to the promotions. And it's great that people are working together, but at the same time, when we crowd that much wrestling into a month, people are going to get burned out. It might be a little harder to pull the fans in because everything is so close together, especially when they all want to use the same talent. People don't realize it's okay to use talent and be different. Like, I've heard from a Shimmer perspective, and this is on my own, this is me talking, where I've been told by fans, I'm a dick because I don't book so-and-so. And it's like, well, we don't have to book every single female. It's nice that we book different females, and it's not that we think a certain one that they like is a bad wrestler. That's not the case at all. They might actually be a great wrestler. They might be doing great things in another promotion. However, if we book them, we might not do the same things with them as in another promotion. And then we're going to get in trouble with the fans because we're not booking them the exact same way they see them booked in another promotion. So maybe sometimes it's better for the wrestler that we don't book them right away or book them down the line, because let them go do the great things that they're doing in their other promotion. You know, let them have their glory there. If there's a spot for them where we can do something with them at Shimmer that's worth their time, worth our time, then yeah, let's bring them in. But we don't have to book every single female every time. And again, it's nothing against them. They could be a fantastic wrestler. They could be a great character. But what makes us any different from another promotion if we all book the exact same people? There's no variety. So if they work at one promotion the week before, are you going to pay to see them 2 weeks in a row doing the exact same thing? Probably not. So that's something people need to look at. Now, if there's going to be 4 shows in a row, but each show is going to give something different to the fans, now that's a female fight season I can get behind. Because there's going to be something for everybody. You don't have to worry about, oh, I just paid $9.95 to watch the same thing the week before. Who wants to do that?
It's a fair comment, and I think it's something that I think, you know, if everyone is talking to each other, it's probably something that everybody could do with ensuring that they're not all going to end up promoting the same main event on all of their shows.
Right.
Because then there's no reason to go and see the other person's show.
Right. And then it goes to the same way. Like, if somebody's booked in something big in another promotion, but we already have our big people, and if we bring them in just as a showcase, now we've done an injustice to them. And again, I'm using my air quotes that you can't see. And it's not that we're trying to do an injustice. It's not that we're trying to bury someone's favorite promoter. It's just, if this is the slot that they fit in, this is the slot we can give them. And sometimes it's better for us to take a bigger talent and hold off a couple tapings to bring them in, where we have a spot higher up on the roster where we can bring them in into a bigger spot. And too many people take it as a slight when it's not a slight on somebody. It's actually us trying to book them and give them credit to what they can bring to the company. But, you know, so many fans out there think because they can type a few words on the message board that they know a lot more about the backstage stuff than the people actually working backstage. It's for the twats out there that, oh my God, this used to make me want to pull my own hair out, that think because they watch wrestling, they understand psychology better than someone like Chris Daniels. You don't know how many fans have come to me and be like, that guy doesn't know dick about psychology. That dude has forgotten more about psychology than any of those nerds have ever learned. And there's a difference between watching wrestling and knowing what you like, and watching wrestling and thinking you know that you truly know how to book something. Because too many fans want to book for one show. Where when we look at it, we look down the line. Okay, if we book something like this, where does it go? And fans today, if they don't get the payoff right away, they complain. Well, why did so-and-so lose? Because maybe something bigger is down the road for so-and-so. Stop worrying about wins and losses. Worry about the match.
What you're saying
they
is,
don't,
you know what
they
you
want
do.
the payoff right away.
Sure.
They don't want to wait to see what's going to happen.
I think that's just a byproduct of the society that we live in now, where everything's instantaneous, and no one wants to defer gratification about something when they can have it right now.
It's right. It's like, okay, if you want instant gratification, go watch something on the internet. Okay. It's like cliffhangers. What is the end of a TV season without a cliffhanger that makes you want to come back and watch them for another season? Okay, if somebody had a weekend where they lost a few in a row, don't you want to come back and see them get their comeuppance? Or are you just going to immediately write them off because, oh, they lost, they suck, or, oh, I don't like the way they're booked. Wah, wah, wah. Really? Calm down, take a step back. First off, it's wrestling, all right? As somebody put it yesterday, we're fighting our friends in our underwear, which is fantastic.
What a fantastic description.
We're fighting our friends in our underwear. Yes, you know. It's like, it's great that people become emotionally connected to a character. But at the end of the day, it's a character, you know? I'm pissed that Happy Endings got canceled, all right? Is my life going to end because Happy Endings got canceled? No. I'm just not going to have something to watch during the year because ABC made me mad. But again, I'm only looking at, okay, let me use the Happy Endings as the example. I don't know backstage how much money that TV show costs ABC. I only see it as ABC is taking away my favorite TV show, so now I'm mad at ABC. But I don't understand what's all involved in having that TV show in the air. How much those shows cost to produce each month. How much those 6 actors cost. What if one of those actors doesn't want to re-sign a contract? I don't know this stuff. And it's not really meant for me to know. I just need to know my favorite show got canceled. That's a bummer. I threw 2 middle fingers up at ABC. But there's always so much more behind the scenes that people don't know. It's like, without dropping names because they don't deserve the free press, somebody comes in, does a sparkle match. They don't come back the next show. Why didn't they come back the next show even though they were popular? Because we had already known they were going somewhere else. When fans asked, hey, said person, why aren't you coming back? Said person, instead of saying something generic like, oh, scheduling conflict, blah, threw me in particular, under the bus, blaming me that I don't like them and that's why they're not coming back. Then I get hate mail from their fans. When the fact is, they were moving to Florida. So, hey, thanks for throwing me under the bus, dick. Sorry, I just had to get that out there.
You know what?
It's out there.
Salty Danger.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like
How
the
bad
fact...
mood's back.
I like the fact that the passion is still there. Even though you've withdrawn from wrestling for the last couple of months, the passion is still burning bright.
Did you really get hate mail from that?
It irritates me because it's somebody that I helped that obviously has no appreciation, and they shouldn't have done what they did.
I mean, did you really get hate mail from that?
Huh?
Did you really get hate mail from that? I mean, it sounds very heavy-handed, essentially, for what essentially is sparkling.
You wouldn't believe the stuff that I get. You wouldn't believe the stuff that we get. And I'm sure other promoters get it, too. I mean, we posted that one letter where somebody didn't want to pay for our product anymore because we didn't have enough blondes on the roster.
How dare you?
I know. You need to replenish your roster of blondes. How dare you lose certain people off your roster because of the color of their hair? All right, bro. It's nice to know you take your dinger out of your hand for the 2 minutes it took you to write that email.
He's probably doing it one-handed.
Ugh.
And disturbed.
There you go. Welcome to my world. But yeah, like, fans are so quick to pass judgment without thinking about, always think, what's the bigger picture? What's the bigger picture? Look at me. I lost every single match I was in my last weekend. Do you think I cried about it? No, because there's a bigger picture there somewhere.
Actually, that's a fair point, because we haven't mentioned that as well. The bigger picture for your last match as well was the cheerleader Melissa heel turn. Tell us a bit about being a part of that, because I guess you're on your way out, and you could have gone out with the big happy victory and all smiling and winning and stuff like that. But the decision was that your sort of departure would also help to facilitate the heel turn of the promotion's champion. I mean, that is one of those kind of selfless moves, like you say. It's doing things for the greater good.
But it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing. First off, in my condition, I don't believe that the fans would have bought me winning all those matches. That would have taken all my opponents down a notch. Shaz and Veda, they deserved a big win. They deserved what they got. And I was glad to be the one to be a part of them getting that push forward. Skater and Tomoko, okay, Tomoko could easily kick my ass in general, even on a healthy day. Skater, maybe if she would go hit the gym or something.
Oh, Jesus.
But, these guys have something great going on. And it shouldn't be about, I'm retiring, so I should win my matches. No, it had to be about what was the best thing for the company, what was the best thing for the people involved. It didn't matter if I won or lost all weekend. It's my last weekend. But what's going to resonate is the fact that Veda and Shaza got that little pop. Nobody expected them to give me the old turtle fall.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, wasn't that the best finish ever?
I just had the ding-dong stuck in my head.
You.
Sorry, not the ding-dong. No.
No, there's a food called a ding-dong here.
Is there?
It's a pseudo-food, yes. It's terrible.
Right.
It's so bad for you. It's like a little chocolate pastry.
I was on about the WCW gimmick.
But you were thinking of penises.
I was not thinking of penises.
He's always thinking of those.
Well, sometimes I get a bit of penis envy. Sometimes you can't help but glance when you're in the gents. What am I saying?
What are you saying? Anyway, let's go back to what we were.
This is so getting edited out.
It's not.
Sometimes
shit.
people have to realize, it's not just about an individual. There's got to be teamwork. And it made sense for that last match to involve me and Melissa. For her turn to be right there, it made sense. It worked. It played upon a storyline. We never have to worry about me and Melissa getting in the ring. There's no comeuppance there for me because I'm out, So she, in a true heel form, saw a weakness in a person and exploited it. That's what bad people do, whether it's in wrestling, whether it's on TV shows, whether it's out in the general public. You prey on the weak. I was the weakest one. She preyed on me. Boom. She's a bad guy. It was a dick move, and that's what it does. But that's what my role, and that's kind of been my role in Shimmer for a while. How long has it been since it's been about me? It's been about building up bait and having fun with other tag teams and doing stuff with that. And that's where I think me as a wrestler, I'm better at doing. I'm better at helping other people and doing stuff like that than opposed to being a big main eventer. I'm not as strong of a wrestler as, say, a Madison Eagles. Madison Eagles, man, she's got the chops to be main event talent every single way where she goes. There's no doubt about it. She is a main event person. Me, maybe in the beginning of Shimmer when I was healthier, doing a main event here with Rebecca or doing the tag with me and Del Rey versus Natty and Melissa. But as my body started to wear down, it made sense for me to go down lower on the roster. But people have to realize that it's not, you have to stop with the ego. Too much in wrestling is about ego, and it shouldn't be. It can't be. So, my mom's trying to call, but I hang up on her. Sorry, Mommy.
Wow. The female Tommy Dreamer, though, is what I was thinking there.
That's what people say, and I take it as a compliment then.
No, it was
because how much
nice,
did he get the ECW?
Yeah. He's beloved, but he knew that his best role was making other people rather than being the main event himself.
Yeah. And I'm cool with that. But that's hard for some people to get.
Yeah, because no one else is willing to do that job for the most part. Everyone else wants to be on top.
For some people.
Some people
I'm
do, yeah.
definitely not the only one out there that gets it. But in the beginning when you're trying to make your name, you don't want to get it because you want that glory, you want those main events and stuff like that, but I'm digressing. And that makes me want to go back to my Doctor Who Tumblr.
Digressing is what you do.
I'm a digressor. But now I can say it was the stroke.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, that'll work.
Right?
Oh, yeah, brilliant.
I can blame so much stuff on that right now. I think, honestly, if I wanted to, I could probably get a handicap tag on my car.
Oh, you should do that.
I'm surprised you haven't got one yet.
I won't do that because I wear a Fitbit One, which is kind of like a roided up pedometer. And if I don't get my 10,000 steps, I get grumpy. So I want that.
Well, just cheat.
No.
I think it'll be a fantastic sort of sort of thing where you've got this person who teaches fitness for a living, but they've also got a disabled badge for their car.
That's so making the newspapers.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that. I don't want the handicap thing.
Fine.
I'm gonna end up embarrassing my kid. I've got a few more years before I can embarrass her, guys. All right, let's not start that early.
I guess.
I'm trying to hold off as long as I can for Kendall to discover that mommy's not actually cool. Because right now she thinks I'm a good singer. She thinks I'm the most beautiful woman in the world. And she thinks I'm cool. Those are 3 things I'm not willing to let go of yet.
Oh, bless her.
I know. Mommy, you sing great. If anyone's heard me sing, and I know you guys have, I am far from great.
Yeah. Well, you know.
How do I put this delicately? Nope, I'm not going to mention it.
Yeah, thank you.
It's all right.
But I don't care that I'm a bad singer. Karaoke, I have fun.
Well, that's the thing about
the whole
karaoke.
point of karaoke.
Yeah.
Nobody should be in there trying to get a music contract, because it rarely happens. Just go have fun.
Yeah, just go in there, sing Special Agent Man, everything will be fine.
You mean Secret Agent Man?
That's the one. We don't get that song
Bruce!
over here.
With Bruce!
Oh.
Actually, here, because today's a holiday here in the U.S., one of the radio stations is playing all 90s music, but like all the fun 90s, and I've already heard 2 Spice Girl songs.
That's
and, like,
the way to do it.
Leaving the gym yesterday, Kendall was talking to me. I'm like, Kendall, shh, Spice is on. And so I got her bopping to it, because she's really into pop music right now. She loves Pink, Katy Perry. She's really cute during the blurred lines. Like, I have that Robin Thicke song, but I have the clean version.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I don't play the
It's
nasty.
a bit rapey.
Yeah.
That sounds
a
a bit
little
rapey.
bit. Yeah, that's a good way to describe that song. It's a little rapey. But she likes to sit in the back and go, hey, 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 hey. And then she always sings the good girl part. Mommy, you're a good girl. But it's so cute. And she loves Katy Perry, and she loves to sing. So I'm trying to like play a little more Spice Girls for her in hopes that she'll start singing like Wannabe or something.
Yeah, it's cool when a 4-year-old sings that song, but when a 50-year-old sings it to a 16-year-old girl, everyone starts losing their minds.
Right, it's a little creepy then.
Exactly. By the way, if you wanted to watch a whole bunch of 90s music videos, I recommend the 90sbutton.com. You click on a picture of David Hasselhoff and it just brings you up a brand new music video from the 90s.
Oh, God. As long as it's not David Hasselhoff singing himself, that would be...
No. Well, he was very 80s.
Yeah, he's very hairy. He likes his cheeseburgers.
And his alcohol, I understand.
Yes.
Anyway.
By the way, I've noticed that something, and I don't know... I'm sure it's not directly related to the stroke, but since I've had the stroke, I'm not able to eat the same things as I was before.
Really?
Like what?
Since having a stroke, I have a hard time eating chicken and turkey.
How?
I get nauseous looking at it.
Oh.
Like I can't prepare it at home, which is crazy because I have all this frozen chicken for eating clean. Nope. Can't stomach it. Now I can watch other people eat it, and I've tried having a piece here and there, but it doesn't sit well in my stomach anymore. And I've actually become more of a pescatarian where I eat like a vegetarian diet, but I still include fish here and there, and like maybe every other week I'll have a little bit of red meat, but that's it. Like it's strange, like things that I used to love, I can't eat anymore.
It's amazing how everything just kind of gets thrown on its head just by, the situation that you've done in your lifestyle, which you probably didn't give that much thought to, and there it is.
I'm like, I don't know, like I'm going to ask my doctor and they'll probably tell me I'm just being silly, but like, I don't know if it's because, at my age that my body's changing or it's my brain or what.
We said this before we started this recording. You're not old.
My body's old.
All right, your body's probably taken a few more knocks than it's supposed to.
I'm 36 and I already have arthritis in my hips. Okay? I teach aqua aerobics to people twice my age with healthier hips than me.
Can we agree to use the term grizzled vet and just have it done?
Grizzled vet, thank you. I'm grizzled. When I'm grumpy, I'm grizzled.
Well, on that bombshell.
That's not a bombshell.
Oh!
So what else? We haven't talked about Doctor Who. There's a new doctor. You better be a ginger. Lee Ketchup.
Look, I've got about 1 million episodes to watch.
Yeah, and?
I'm sorry, but the Matt Smith Doctor just hasn't clicked with me. I know he's great, and I'll fully accept this. I will say yes, he is absolutely great, but he hasn't clicked with me.
I'm surprised because at first I wasn't sure, but again, you know, David Tennant's going to be my next ex-husband.
Of course.
And that's only because I eventually plan on starting, like, I think atheists should be able to take extra husbands and wives, right? No?
Right.
No, not really.
Well, you do realise that his nickname by Billy Piper was David 10-inch.
No.
Also,
I refuse to think anything like that.
Isn't Marco going to be your next ex-husband?
No. I'm not getting rid of him.
All right, he's keeping him, okay.
I'm keeping him. But in my mind, if he weren't in the picture, David Tennant would be my next husband. But I would be a fool to let go of my husband.
Well, technically, you know, he can't. If he's there's a way that you could become single again without him becoming an ex-husband. All he has to do is have an accident.
No!
Jesus.
No, that's terrible, Lee.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying you should do it.
Hey, let me put it this way. I can't do better than what I have here. And I realize that. And if any of you tell him that, I will find you and I will kick you. I will treat you like you're the movie Magnolia and I am Jane Silent Bob. I will come to your house and hurt you.
Well, that's okay. I don't mind you coming here because at least you'll be in the country.
I cannot do better than him. And he has not figured that out yet. So,
oh, God, the day he realises that.
I'm screwed, you guys. I found probably the best man in the world for anybody.
I'm sitting right here.
Oh.
That's okay. You've met my husband.
I have, actually. He's a cool
You
guy.
would marry him in a heartbeat.
I showed him certain pictures on my phone.
Oh, jeez.
I know this to be true as well.
Oh, my goodness.
We get certain things on TV over here that you just don't get over there.
Boobs?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Should
My
we
goodness.
He said he missed European TV. What can I say?
Wow.
Oh, hubby. Yeah, he's firmly attached to his PlayStation 3 right now, so I'm not worried.
Good. Should we...
He's having... That's his mistress.
Well, then you can have David Tennant.
Like I'll ever meet him. Could you imagine me going to a Comic-Con and he's there?
That would be the best thing in the known world.
They would have to up security.
Yeah. Danger's certainly one term I would use.
Oh my goodness. I'm a grown woman with a crush. That's terrible.
It's okay. It's allowed.
Right? Because it's funny because, like, I hear all these girls and they're like, Channing Tatum. What is it? Channing
Tatum, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, I'm like, no. I'm like, David Tennant. And they go, who? And then I punch them in the face and I walk away. I'm like, that's who. Doctor Who.
Well,
This interview quickly fell apart.
it really did, didn't it?
This seems like an opportune moment to perhaps draw a line underneath this show.
I think so, because I think after a while people are going to stop listening.
This is one of these reasons why we only have you on like once every few years.
I know,
Because
because it just goes so long.
we
That's
can't-
what she said.
Well done. Well done.
Dearie me. Before we bid farewell to everybody, I feel we must pay some bills. Well, you may notice, ladies and gents, that on the website, actually on every page of the website, we have a rotating message saying, get your DVDs here. Now, if you want to help us out a little bit with the running costs of the website, just click on that link anytime you want to be getting anything from High Spots as far as women's wrestling DVDs or anything else is concerned. Click on that, go straight through, buy your stuff as you normally would, and we get a little bit of a kickback, and that helps keep the site free for everybody. Now, we're not saying go and do it right now, but, you know, when you are ready to do it, just click on that link, save it into your bookmarks if you like, and then when you do want to buy something, go and do it through that, and we get a little bit of cash, which helps to keep this site as ad-free as possible.
There you go, everybody. It's Allison Danger, the